Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Mindful Mondays. Welcome. For those of you who were here last month and have returned, welcome back. For those of you, this is your first Mindful Monday, we want to welcome you as well. For those of you who have been here before and are returning to us, we welcome you. For those of you who don't know anything about us or me or about our program, we want to welcome you as well. By now, you should have all received an email with the summary of last month, Mindful Monday, which was on relationships. Tonight's topic is decision making. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about decision making. Seems to be a simple concept because the truth of the matter is that we are constantly making decisions every day. In fact, we make thousands of decisions constantly. Our body makes decisions all the time, whether you are aware of it or not. Our mind decides that our eyes need to blink because we need to hydrate our eyeballs. It blinks as needed. It makes a decision to do that. We breathe 12 to 16 breaths every minute. That means every 2 to 3 seconds, we either inhale or exhale. That's a decision made by the brain to cause the lungs to cause a muscle contraction. That is done every moment of every day. We heartbeat 60 to 80 times a day per minute at rest, more if we're doing exercise. That means that every single second of the day, our heart beats. Our body is making thousands and thousands of decisions. And I want to discuss one aspect to help in making decisions and something that you can use when making a decision. We're going to talk about muscle contraction, and we're going to talk about making and drinking a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. The amount of effort and the system that is used in order for the body to be able to make a cup of coffee is extremely complex. Whether you are aware of it or not, the automatic nervous system, the ANS, has a very specific system of how to make a cup of coffee. You need to extend your arm. You have your shoulder cup that rotates in order to pick up the coffee, or whether it's a Keurig cup or whether it's a cup of instant. And then there's the spoon reaching out for the spoon, and your hand grasps the spoon, putting coffee into the cup, boiling water, pouring water into the cup, or like I said, if it's a Keurig machine, you still have to press the button. What happens is that the elbow is constantly flexing and extending. The wrist is rotating. Fingers are contracting. What it takes for the body to contract a muscle is absolutely fascinating for anybody who's learned anatomy and physiology. Again, I'm not telling you anything that is not known. These are not secrets. This is very well known. You can Google it and you will find out great explanation about the different types of muscles and what it takes in order to cause a muscle contraction. The reason why you don't have to worry about this is because the automatic nervous system it's called automatic nervous system. It has a very specific system, and that's why it works without any type of conscious effort on your part. When it comes to decision making, what I want you to do is next time that you are drinking a cup of coffee, and one last thing that you do after you made the coffee is you bend your elbow and bring that cup to your mouth. Now you're going to blow, so you're blowing air out, again using your lungs, to cool down the hot liquid. Then you're suctioning. You're not just inhaling, but you're actually using the power of suctioning to bring liquid into your body. Then you drink it, so that epiglottis, it's the one that separates the trachea from the food pipe and allows the food to go down the food pipe so it doesn't get stuck in the windpipe. Then the digestive system starts and takes over. Fascinating system in just sipping a hot drink, whether it's coffee, tea, or soup. So next time this week when you are picking up a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and you're drinking it, I want you to focus and to be mindful about what is taking place within your body. We started last month doing Mindful Mondays. And the reason why we do Mindful Mondays, what we are trying to do is, our company, sent by KTPO, is on a mission to guide 100 million individuals to live in their highest self and reach true happiness that you want. I'm going to explain what it means to live in your highest self. Every human being has a lower self, an average self, and a higher self. When a person is in lower self, what they are doing is they will gossip, they will talk about other people. When people are talking about other people, other individuals, they are at their lower self. Average people talk about events, talk about things, what happened. Hey, did you hear what this happened? Did you hear about this? Always about something in the past. That is the average. The higher self talks about concepts. What we are doing now, we are talking from the higher self. We are talking concepts. And that is our goal. When a person speaks in concepts, doesn't speak as an average individual, they are reaching the highest level of themselves, and they can reach true happiness. And that is our goal of what we are doing, is to bring in that mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of the ways of bringing an individual into higher self. Many people, and I use that word very simply because it's not a statistic. It's not that I went and evaluated the 8 billion individuals on the planet and told you most people or can evaluate what each person is doing, but many people live life just through existence. They're not actually living life. They're just existing. And what happens is that they just go through life, and certain obligations, if they have a family, they have certain obligations, remove them from living life with a higher purpose. They're doing great. Not that there's anything wrong with that. However, when it comes sometimes to certain types of decisions, they start to get stuck. And they don't realize why. And that's one of the things that we're going to be focusing on tonight. By the way, this is a two-part series. This week and next week, we are going to talk about this week about some of the things that block people from making decisions. Why some people have a hard time making certain decisions. Now, one of the things about our Mindful Mondays is we try really hard to not be perfect. We work really hard on being imperfect. I'm a perfect human being. I make perfect mistakes. We are really working hard at imperfection. And why is that such an effort? I know it sounds humorous, but I'm being extremely serious because we all try to be perfect. One of the things that blocks us from making decisions, and you can write that down, one of the things that blocks, because we're going to go through a variety of things that block an individual from making decisions. One of the things, I already planted the seeds when I was talking about the anatomy and physiology of drinking a hot drink, is that when one does not have a system, when an individual does not have a specific system to life, they will find doing certain things, reaching certain levels, accomplishing certain things, they will find that they are difficult for them to do. Why? Because they lack a system. Next week, we are going to talk very specifically on a very practical level about a system to make all types of decision-making far easier than you can ever imagine. Once you have a system in place, just like the body has a system of how to do muscle contraction, how to feed yourself through the various systems in the body, both through the musculoskeletal system and the digestive system. Two, when making a decision, when you have a very specific system, you will find that even the most difficult of decisions will come much easier. However, we're not just going to tell you that, because we also have a system. Like I said, our mission is to guide and teach you to live and reach your highest self. And that takes a system. This is what we are teaching today. And as I stated, I will tell you on a practical level next week, the practical system to decision making. For those of you who were not here last month and are not familiar with the way we do things, just to give you a little bit heads up, we will have an opportunity for you to Q&A, questions and answers. We will respond to as many questions as we can. We will answer those who unmute and ask the questions verbally before we answer the questions that are either texted in. We'll give you information on how to do that, whether it's through the chat for those who are calling in online, or whether it's through text messaging for those who are calling in through their phones. We also ask in the questions, just a couple of guidelines, that you do stay muted throughout this session so as not to interrupt. We will give you a time, so take notes when you have a question and we will answer them later. Also, we do not do crosstalk. In other words, if somebody asks a question, please don't interrupt that individual. And also, do not offer them advice. Oh, I have a solution for this individual who asked that question. You can speak about or ask about a topic that somebody else asked. That is not crosstalk. But we want to keep everybody safe and help people to feel secure and safe so they can ask their questions without feeling judged or criticized. So we do ask that you are respectful. You do not have to mention your name when you ask a question. We'll keep it as anonymous as possible, making it possible for everybody to be as vulnerable as they can in order to be honest about their questions. Again, the Q&A will go a little bit later. The entire session should take about 90 minutes to 2 hours tops. If Q&As go a little bit longer, we will be here to do that. So now that you understand that, if anybody wants to know about me, my name is Alan Nemtsov. To find out more about me, I'm not going to waste time here. I already spoke about it last week. And in the email that you all received, if you did not receive it, please get in touch with the office. At the end of our little spiel here, we will put in where you can reach out to the office to ask for that. You will get the introduction of who I am, as well as a little bit about our company and a summary of last month's Mindful Mondays, which was on relationships. We do this twice a month, and we will be here next week. As I stated, this month is not every other week, it's next week. As I stated, we are trying to be imperfect. So why do people struggle with perfection? Why is that something that makes it difficult for us to be imperfect? We are human beings. And as human beings, we are flawed. We are fallible. We are not perfect. We were not created to be perfect. We have limitations of what we can and cannot do. Why do we keep trying to be perfect? The truth is that it's not really our fault. It's something that was taught to us in our education. In school, for those of you who went to high school, went to college, or even in elementary school, we were taught a subject and then we were given a test. Now, there are tests that were essay tests, but there are other tests that were multiple questions. In a multiple question test, there is only one right answer. And therefore, the concept of being perfect was taught to us and ingrained in us. That is the way to be successful, to do the one right thing. And everything else is wrong. I remember in nursing, when I took my nursing degree and I took my boards, my state boards, they had multiples. In other words, you had to put in all that apply. And if you put 3 correct ones and 1 incorrect one, or 3 correct ones and you left another one of the correct ones out, the answer was wrong. That was multiples. Obviously a much more challenging and difficult way to answer a question. Nonetheless, there was still only one right answer. This is not reality in life. And anybody who's had some experience in life, we understand that it's rarely one right answer. The only subject that has one right answer is mathematics. There's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 1,440 minutes that each of us receive every day to live. We all get 1,440 minutes. You can't wake up one day and say, you know what, today, I'm not feeling it. I'm only going to live 13 of my minutes today. I really don't want to use the other 1,440 minutes. That's a bit much for me. I'm tired. I know I can sleep through it, but I don't want to do them. No, we can't do that. Let's say some days I have a lot to accomplish. I actually need 1,578 minutes today. Can I have 1,578 minutes today? No, you don't get that. We all get exactly 1,440 minutes every 24 hours, no matter who you are, no matter how intelligent you are, doesn't matter what your gender is, doesn't matter what your race, creed, color, religion, no difference. Whoever you are, you all get, every single human being receives 24 hours at midnight, 1,440 minutes. That is the only thing, because that is mathematics. And mathematics is part of creation, and creation is perfect. So therefore, there is only one right answer when it comes to the universe. However, us as human beings, we cannot live with one right answer. So that's why it's not our fault that we can have difficulty in decision making, because we're trying to make the right decision. And we're going to get a little deeper into it in a few moments. Now, there obviously are different levels of decisions, right? Should I eat an apple? Should I eat an orange? Not a major decision, right? But it is a decision, right? Should I go for a walk, or should I go ride my bike? It is a decision, but again, not a major decision. There are major decisions, more important decisions. Should I buy this house, or should I buy that house? Should I live here, or should I live there? Should I marry this individual? Should I not marry this individual? Something that we spoke about last week. Should I stay in a relationship? Should I leave a relationship? Should we have another child? Should we not have another child? Should I send my child to this school? Should I send my child to this school? A lot of times, should I go on vacation here? Should I go on vacation there? Should I go on vacation at all? Should I not go on vacation? Should I go to work? Should I leave my work? Should I stay at my work? Should I choose this career? Should I choose that career? As you can see, there are various levels of importance in decision making. Now, clearly, the ones that are simpler decisions, right? Should I wear brown clothes today, or should I wear green clothes today? Not a major decision, right? Should I try this career or that career? That's a lot more important of a decision. Should I stay in a relationship? Should I leave the relationship? That is a very heavy decision. Should I talk to this individual? Should I not talk to this individual? Should I say something? Should I not say something? As you can see, there are a lot of many different levels of importance of decision making. We're not going to talk about the simple decision making that are things that are very clear, because that's pretty simple. Should I go to the bathroom, or should I not go to the bathroom? Now, some people, simple decision making for them is very complicated. Have you ever told somebody, why don't you just go and do this? It's so clear for you. It's hard for you to understand how it's confusing for that other person to make what seems to be a very simple decision in your mind. So you see that even the most basic decision can sometimes be complicated and confusing. We're obviously going to speak about the confusing and important decision making, not the simple one. What we want to do is we want to get to a place where we take stuff that's confusing and bring it to clarity. Once you have clarity, once you are clear, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about, it's going to be easier to make decisions. Now, I want you to remember about the coffee, drinking the coffee that we spoke about. How that system is put together through your automatic nervous system. You were created with the digestive system. That it's already in you, it's innate, you don't have to do anything, thereby making it simple for you to drink a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Very simple. Imagine if you had that clarity, that level of clarity when you want to make a decision. That is what I promised to teach you in these two sessions tonight and next week. Tonight, we're going to speak about things that block us from making decisions. We already started to talk about it a little bit when we talk about where it comes from, that we are taught in school there's only one right answer. When you're taught at a young age that there's only one right answer, then that goes through you when it comes to more difficult things to choose in life, that there's only one right answer. It is rare, not never, rare that there's only one right answer. Not only that, what is a right answer for you in this situation could be a wrong answer for somebody else in a similar situation. So let's talk about this, what blocks us from making decisions. Why do we have difficulty sometimes when it comes to making decisions? Why do we get anxious about it? One of the things is that there are fears, obviously. There are fears in certain decisions. One of the common fears is fear of failure, fear of making a mistake. Now, that is similar to the concept of perfectionism, that we were taught that there's only one right answer. So we're afraid that, oh my gosh, if I do the wrong answer, if I make a mistake, then there is no then. We don't even know sometimes what the then is. We are so ingrained with this concept that there's only one right answer. We don't even really know what we're afraid of to make a mistake. Sometimes we do, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But sometimes the then, we don't even know what the then is. Oh, I'm afraid to make a mistake. Ask somebody, why are you afraid to make a mistake? And you will be amazed that 9 times out of 10, people have no clue, no idea why they're afraid to make a mistake. And I want you to know, just because I'm talking about these concepts does not mean that I am above and beyond any of these things and I don't struggle with these things myself. Just the opposite. The reason why I can talk about these things is because these things are things that I struggle with as well and have worked through a lot and accomplished a lot, but still have a long way to go. So I am not free and clear of anything that we're talking about tonight. So I'm here with you. Yes, I have experience with this. I've done research. I've been in recovery for 23 years. So I am a different person than I was. Nonetheless, I hope that you don't feel that. And if you do, that's your choice. But I am certainly a human and I have a lot of these fears as well. Not as strong as they used to be, certainly not. But sometimes I don't know what the then is. Fear of failure. Brene Brown, a fascinating philosopher, psychologist, I should say, professor, as well as an author. I love her books. And she talks about, and you can look it up, the last one that she wrote, The Atlas of the Heart. I love that book. If anybody recommends to read it, a great book. I'm in the middle of it now and really learning a lot from her. Her niche, what she's been focusing on for the last 25, 30 years, is on shame. That is her focus. That is her niche. That is what her career is, that she deals with researching and understanding shame. And one of the things about shame, and just to tell you what the difference is between shame and guilty, when a person feels guilty, in other words, they made a mistake, but they can correct it. Shame is not just that I made a mistake, but I am a mistake. And that was something that I believed for my first 40 plus years of life. I believed that I was a mistake. I walked around with tremendous shame. So if anybody suffers with that, I want you to know I validate your feelings. I understand it. In our program, we heal that. We heal shame. Shame is a real thing. It's nothing to joke about. It's nothing to minimize or dismiss, just the opposite. But it is definitely healable if done in the proper, again, system, if done in the proper process. So a lot of times we're afraid to make a mistake because we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to be shamed. We don't want to feel that we are a mistake. In other words, it's not so much that we're afraid to make a mistake, but there's a belief that if we make a mistake, that means that we are a mistake. And when it comes down to that fear of being vulnerable goes against human nature. And I'll tell you why. I'll explain it. What is the purpose? And this is a rhetorical question. I'll answer it. What is the purpose of every human being when they wake up in the morning? Our purpose for the day is to survive. The 1440 minutes that we have been blessed with, that we have been gifted, is for us to survive. For a human being to live without control, not being in control of themselves, is a very scary place. For a person to feel vulnerable is a very scary thing, because we want to be in control. And we're going to talk more where that comes from. So the fear of making a mistake is really the fear of being vulnerable. And that's where making the right decision, and a lot of times, is so important for such an individual. And that's why a lot of people will refrain from making decisions, because it's too risky. So they will stay in a safe environment and not make decisions, because if I don't make a decision, I can't make mistakes. But indecision is also a decision. To not do anything is also a decision. It's not a proactive decision. And sometimes not doing anything is the correct thing to do. So we are focusing on those who are on the fence, in the middle, at a point of indecision, and they're not sure which way to go. Do I go right or do I go left? Whatever the situation may be. So fear of failure is one of the things that prevent people from making a decision. There's another fear of success, which seems ironic. If we have fear of failure, how can we have fear of success? A lot of people have both. There are multiple reasons for fear of success. Some people are afraid that if they are successful, then it's a new obligation to be at a certain level that they don't feel that they can uphold. And there's a further thing, and I'll compare it to climbing a ladder, that one of the three natural fears of humans, are loud noises, fear of falling, and fear of snakes. Those are the three natural fears that all human beings have. Now, I know that some people are really good with snakes. I get that. I guess they've been able to work through that natural fear that they were born with. But fear of loud noises is in order to survive, right? If you don't hear a car coming, you won't know to get out of the way. So in primitive times, if we didn't hear an enemy coming, we wouldn't know how to get out of the way. If we didn't hear an animal coming after us, we didn't know how to get out of the way. I do believe that's why there is lightning before thunder. The lightning is to warn us that there is going to be a loud noise. Do not be afraid. We get startled from loud noises. Some people who go through trauma, one of the things that we teach in our program, trauma healing, they get overly startled with even the quietest of noises. They get extremely startled. But for the average individual, fear of loud noises and fear of falling, it's simple. If I'm going to fall, I'm going to hurt myself. So that's why when we walk, we naturally keep our eyes open. Have you ever seen, other than a blind individual, you don't see people walk with their eyes closed. We may not consciously be aware of what we're doing, but what we're doing is we're preventing ourselves from hurting ourselves. So because fear of falling is a natural fear, when you climb a ladder, if you go up one step or two steps, it's not too scary. Some people have a fear of heights, myself included. Some people have trained themselves and they're really good at climbing. They have a great skill of climbing up ladders, no problem. They can work on bridges. They can work on high rises because they've worked through the fear of falling and they're very safe. They're very skilled. I am not one of those individuals. Nonetheless, the natural idea of a person who has a fear of falling. So if you climb 6 steps or 7 steps on a ladder, if you fall, it's going to hurt much more than if you climb 2 steps. Same idea, the analogy about fear of success. If I am successful, that means if I eventually fail, the force of the failure is going to be much more painful than if I only succeed a little bit. So sometimes there's a fear of success, which comes to the same fear of the fear of failure. There is a deeper psychological concept about the fear of success, and I'm grappling with myself making a decision. Should I mention it? Should I not mention it? Why not? So something that we talk about in our program is that for people who come from dysfunctional upbringing or traumatic lives, they, especially with dysfunctional upbringing or trauma in their childhood, so their nurturers, which were their parents, fed them, clothed them, housed them, gave them the basic needs, but they also neglected them, abused them, whether emotionally or physically. So therefore, for such an individual, there is the idea of success, which is nurturing, is combined with abuse, and therefore there's a fear of success. And we're not going to expound on that. That's something that takes more, but there is, like I said, there's multiple reasons why certain individuals have fear of success, making it really difficult to make decisions. Other reasons is, and that we're going to focus on this more next week, that some people really don't know what they want, and they're afraid that this decision that they're making is not going to make them happy. But they don't even know what they want in the first place, which obviously is a major deterrent to decision making. When an individual doesn't know what they want, how can they be happy? How can they decide how to make a decision when they don't even know what they want? And again, it can come back to the perfectionism that we spoke about, that there's only one right answer. And then there's the very basic logical understanding of a blockage of making a decision is, what are going to be the consequences? What is it going to cost me? So, especially for business individuals, especially when it comes to a certain purchase, how much is this decision going to cost me if it doesn't work out? So we have a fear of the cost of the wrong decision. Now, from all of these is the most healthiest and logical fear. What is this going to cost you? Yes, we don't just randomly make decisions, especially important decisions, without thinking about the cost. Doesn't always have to be a financial cost, but it can be an emotional cost, a relationship cost, a career cost. So there is that aspect, which is a more logical and conscious fear when making a decision. And even that we are going to discuss next week. So we're going to talk about that and give an answer, give you a system. Like we said, the whole point here is if you have a system, and that's why I said you should think about when you're drinking your coffee, that there is a system in place, making it automatic for your arm movement and your hand movement and your mouth movement and your digestive system to drink a hot drink. This can be your point of reference whenever you're having a decision-making challenge, that this is your point of reference, that just like the body has a system, remind yourself of the system that you're going to learn next week. There's one last concept that I would like to talk about, the challenge in the decision-making, and there's a misconception of the results. This is obviously a much more spiritual than psychological concept, that when we understand that we don't understand, when we understand that we are limited in our lives, so it makes it difficult for us to perceive if the result of a past decision was right or not. If a person made a mistake in the past and had a bad experience, that is going to affect them the next time they make a decision. And it reminds me of a great parable that I heard about a farmer who has a horse that pulls his toe to reap the land, and he has a 12-year-old son that helps him. And one day the horse breaks free and runs off into the wild. And now he doesn't have a horse to pull his toe, so he's got to do it. And obviously he cannot keep up to the same strength and level that the horse was able to plow his field. So he's not going to be able to produce as much. And the people of the town come to him to console him for his loss. Oh, I'm so sorry that you lost your horse. I understand how difficult it is. And they came to console him. And he was a very wise man. And he said to them, he said, I don't know if it's good or if it's bad. I don't know if it's good or it's bad. They came to console him because to them it was obvious that it was bad. Anyways, a few days go by, and all of a sudden the horse had brought back 10 horses. In other words, it went out to the wild and it gathered 10 horses and brought back 10 horses. Now he has 10 horses to work his land. And the people of the town came to him and said, wow, we're so happy for you. That's amazing that you now have 10 horses to plow your field. Once again, he responded, I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. Now, for those of you who understand a little bit about horses, because I only understand a very little bit, but I know that you got to break a horse. It's called break a horse. It's training. I guess it's like training any animal. Just like if you have a dog, you need to train a dog. So you have to train a horse. And his son is training this horse, and the horse throws him off, one of the wild horses, and he breaks his leg. And now his son is unable to work, has a broken leg and a calf. And again, the people of the town come to him to console him about his loss, that his son broke his leg. He can't help him, and he's aging. He can't help him with the horses. He can't help him with plowing the field. He can't help him with the natural chores connected to having this farm. And once again, this wise man says, I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. Anyways, a few days go by, and the head of the army comes by into this little village and say, we are rounding up all the young boys to come to us to the military. We are not asking you, we are taking them. And they go by and they see his son with a broken leg, and they say, oh, you can't help us, so you stay here. We believe that we understand the result of outcomes. And the reason why we misperceive, because our limited view as human beings is right now. The only thing that we know is right now. For people who don't trust, that's a very scary concept. Something that we speak a lot about in our program of how to gain trust in the system of life, in the system of universe. Different people use different coping mechanisms in order to be able to exist through life as opposed to live life. And this is also one of the major blockages that causes indecision, that prevents people from making decisions because they don't conceive, they misperceive outcomes. Decision making is really not about outcomes. And we're going to talk more about this next week. It's about making decisions. And the last thing that I want to talk about before we open up for the Q&A, another thing is when an individual feels, I have no choice. I have no choice. I have to choose this. That is rare. That is a decision. Rare, except in an emergency. Yes, in an emergency, yes, you have no choice. If somebody's bleeding out, you better get that individual to the hospital. It is rare, not never, rare, very rare. A person may go through an entire life without having a decision that they have no choice. Why do they get to I have no choice? Because they have one of these fears. And they don't realize that in life, there's always option C. So this is the opposite of what we were taught. We were taught that there's only one right answer in school. So we live our life with only one right answer. But the truth is, there is always option C. If you can only decide between A and B, so you are going to have a problem. See, A and B, decision, the word decision, comes from the Latin word decadere. Dere means to cut off. When a person makes a decision, what they're doing is they're cutting off any other decision. Viktor Frankl, for those of you who are familiar with him, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. And he writes there, talking about somebody living on the highest level, he writes there that anytime you do something, you have made a decision at that moment, every single moment that you are living, you have made a decision that this thing that you are doing is the most important thing for you right now, and everything else is not important. Wow, I certainly am not at that level where I can say that I consciously think about that everything that I do is the most important thing and everything else is not important. But the concept of decisions is that we're cutting off everything else. And for a lot of people, that's a scary thought, that I'm cutting off. We want that control, we want that flexibility. And if I'm cutting off everything else, all other options, I'm afraid. We're going to help you right now. I'm going to give you one practical tool to use. I told you about the coffee. to think about that, which will help you in your decision making, realizing that you need a system, that once you have a system. So ask yourself before you make a decision, and this will take away this concept of either A or B. Do I need to make this decision right now? Again, ask yourself, do I need to make this decision right now? Other than an emergency, it is rare that a decision needs to be made right at this moment. When a person feels that a decision needs to be made right now, that decision is based on emotion and not on logic. And whenever you make a decision based on emotion, like we spoke about, fear of failure, fear of being vulnerable, fear of success, misconception of results, those are all emotional decision making. Other than, what will this cost me? That is the logical decision making. When a person does that, most of the times, even if it's not the right thing, and even if it turns out sour, it doesn't turn out well, nonetheless, the decision was made with logic, not with emotion. At least they know once they made the wrong decision, that was the wrong one. So we're going to try something else, because they're not making decisions with emotion. When a person makes a decision with emotion, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the wrong decision. It rarely works out. How are we going to get out of emotion? The way we're going to get out of emotion is to what? Ask ourselves, do I need to make this decision right now? Cup of coffee. System. There's a system. There's a system in the universe. I have a misperception of the result. When I do that, just that, so for the next week, before you make any decision, I'm not talking about an orange or an apple, obviously we're talking about more important decisions. You may not have any important decisions this week, which is very possible. But if you do, if there's something that you wanted to do and you're not sure, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I accomplish it or not? Think about the cup of coffee and think about, do I need to make this decision right now? This will remove the anxiety, the emotion attached to the decision, and it will make decision making so much easier. Now, next week, we are going to take these concepts and go deeper and expound on what really is blocking us. In other words, how can we heal those fear of failures, if that's something that you struggle with? How can you heal from that fear of success? How can you heal from that fear of making a mistake, of being vulnerable? All of that, we will come to a practical system, because that's really all it is. It's just you're lacking a system. Once you have that system in place, you will find that even the most difficult of decisions will become so much easier for you. It's not a magic pill, it's not a quick fix. It is a system that you can use. And if you remember the cup of coffee, will help you remember that I have to get back to that system. Well, thank you for listening. We're going to open up for Q&A, but before we do that, we're going to put in the chat, these sessions are recorded. And last month's session was recorded. You can call our hotline. It is on the hotline for those of you who are calling in, 845-241-8855. And you press number 19. It's absolutely free. That recording will be up for 1 month until we finish editing this one. Once we've edited this one, it will replace that. The other place that you can listen to it is online. We have our own YouTube channel. We're going to put that in the chat, the link to the YouTube channel. And those are going to stay up there for quite a while. We're not replacing them in each one. You can watch our videos. We have a multitude of videos on there. We have the recordings, and you also receive the Mindful Mondays newsletter, which will come out every month. And we do encourage you to write in a question. If you read that and you have a question about last month's topic about relationships, and you email us, and the email is info@essenbigpo.com. Again, by ktpo.com. It's in the chat. KTPO, by the way, stands for Keep Those Pounds Off, which was the original name of our company. We do weight loss healing. We teach people how to keep their weight off long-term and evolved, and we do trauma healing, anxiety reduction, and so on and so forth. You can look us up on our website, which is ascentbyktpo.com. You'll get more information there. But if you have a question and you want to send us in a question, we will publish that question for you next newsletter with a response. You can also call the office if you have a question or if you want to be on our WhatsApp group. We are giving away a raffle for anybody who signs up for our WhatsApp group. Text in 845-400-9466. Again, all of these are in the chat. 845-400-9466. Just text the name bonus and you will automatically be in our WhatsApp group where we will send out the responses about our newsletter. We won't harass you, I promise. However, whoever signs up to our WhatsApp will go into a raffle and we will pick 3 individuals from that raffle who will have a free 20-minute session with me. Free, absolutely free. So we want to build our WhatsApp. This will encourage you to join our WhatsApp group so we can tell you about our Mindful Mondays. And also, somebody's saying, can you add me to the WhatsApp? Yes, we will do that. If you want to do it that way, we will add you to the WhatsApp. Just text 845-400-9466. And again, we'll be here next Monday on the 24th. And then in March, we will be here March 10th and March 24th. Those are the 2 Mindful Mondays that we will do next week. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Now we will open up for Q&A. Again, we will take those who unmute first. We'll keep track of the order. For those of you who are embarrassed or unable to unmute, you can text into the chat. But once again, I will respond to the individuals first. I saw somebody unmuted and then they muted again. For those who do not have the online access, I'm sorry, you can text in your question to 845-400-9466. I just want to say this is absolutely free. We are on a mission to guide people to live at their highest self, and we would love you to help us out in that mission. Tell your friends and family, this is absolutely free. It's absolutely no cost to you. We are not selling anything here. We are here. How do I access the newsletter? All you need to do is to text the office, 845-400-9466, your email. Once we have your email, we will email you the newsletter. So you will receive it for free. Send us your email, and that's how you will get that newsletter. It went out about an hour ago, so you should already have it. I see that some people responded that they received it and they enjoyed it very much. Okay, can I repeat the hotline number? Sure, 845 and press number 19. That will give you the recording from last month's Mindful Mondays. Then you will obviously, next month after we finish the editing, we will have tonight's and next week's, but it'll take us obviously a couple of weeks to edit them. Okay, I think that's enough information. I hope I didn't confuse anybody with overload you with info. Would anybody like to have a question, something that they would like clarity about, something about tonight's session? You can ask about last week's if you were here last week and you had something that you wanted to address. Again, you just need to unmute, whether you are calling from online or from a phone. And we'll give a couple minutes. I know sometimes it takes a minute until people actually start asking. And then, yes, 04, go ahead. You are first.
Yeah, I didn't hear the lesson today, so I want to ask something about decision making, but I didn't hear what you said. Is that okay?
So you're not asking about what I said?
I just want to know about, I heard a little bit, but I didn't hear the whole lesson. I came up too late.
Okay. So what's your question? I'll see if we can answer it. If it's something that I already spoke about, then I'll refer you to hear the recording.
Okay, so I want to make a decision if I should go out. I heard of a certain job that may be interesting for me, but I can't, it's like hard for me to know if I will, a lot of things about it, if I'll enjoy it. If it's going to be good for me to go out, I'm not going out now. Like, I have a lot of things that I don't know if it's going to work out for me.
Great question. Yes. So this is something that we will actually answer and talk about next week. There is a system that you are lacking and making it difficult for you to make a decision. Now, it's very possible, I'm not going to repeat the whole session, that you would benefit from hearing the recording from tonight's session, because we spoke about the different fears that cause a person to have indecision. So it's not something I can answer you on the spot since you didn't hear the session. Talked about the different fear of failure, fear of success, perfectionism, other things that are blocking you from doing what you're making in this decision. And it also sounds like you don't know exactly what you want, which also makes it difficult. Therefore, my recommendation for now is to wait till the recording comes out. And next week when you come, make sure to come early. If you come on, we are going to teach you a system that'll make it easier for you to make a decision. Fair enough?
So wait till then about this decision.
Is it life-threatening that you need to make it at this second?
No, just like I feel that maybe I'm going to lose this opportunity.
That's possible. That's possible. So making a decision out of a fear of losing something means you're going to make it out of emotion. And then many times when one person does that, they look back and go, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Why didn't I wait? Correct? So making a decision out of fear is rarely a good decision.
I can do it like more, usually I know that when I'm overwhelmed, I don't make the decision, but I'm just saying, there's such a thing that I can lose it if I wait.
It's possible.
Or
I like, what's his name? Richard Branson, a philanthropist. He's the owner of Virgin Airline. He said a brilliant thing. He says, never get upset about losing an opportunity. He says, now this man is a billionaire, so I think he knows a little bit about opportunities. Would you agree?
Yeah.
He says he looks at opportunities like city buses. If I miss one, there's another one right down the road. So he doesn't get all upset because he missed an opportunity because there's another one coming your way.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? I see I have a couple of text questions. Is it possible, and if yes, what are the tools to stay sane even during trauma and abuse? Whoa, that is not a Q&A question and answer. Is it possible? Absolutely. Yes, it is possible. What are the tools? That again it's a process. It's not something to answer on the moment. If you want to reach out to the office and listen to our webinar, we'll be more than happy to talk to you, but it's not a quick answer. There's a lot of that involved, and I'm sorry that you're going through a difficult period, and I don't know what the trauma and abuse is. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you're referring to, if it's physical abuse, if it's emotional abuse, verbal abuse. There's a multitude of things that are occurring. And based on what you're saying, it sounds to me like it's more emotional and verbal than physical, all three. So if you are going through all three, if it's physical abuse, and again, it depends. If it's in a relationship, a spouse, and somebody is physically abusing you, you should not be there. You should not be in a relationship if somebody is physically abusing you. Please give one or two. I did, telling you that if it's in your home, your parents, how old are you? I understand that you're over 18, but how old? You're being physically abused by one of your parents? Is that what you're referring to? If you are being physically abused, then you should not stay there. That is a safety issue. And again, it depends on that life. Somebody asked, what about emotionally? Emotionally abused is very different. That's something that has to do with a perception. So that's something that we teach a lot in our program about, if you're being hit, I would not stay home. I would find somewhere to go. I know that's pretty rough, but living in a home that they are physically abusing you, no, should not stay there. Emotionally abuse and verbal abuse is very different, because that is something that you can work on to not get affected. But if you are being physically hit, you're being physically hit by a sibling and the parents are not getting involved, that sounds like very extremely dysfunctional home, what you're describing. And if that's a dysfunctional home, then yeah, you may want to consider other options. There's some level of dysfunction going on there that can be dangerous, and you may need to speak to the authorities. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but again, it's the level of what the abuse is. Yeah, true, yes. Sorry that you're going through that. It's not an easy thing, and I empathize with you. I really do. We get a lot of people in our program who come from the emotional and the verbal. We don't get as many that come from the physical, but the emotional and the verbal, and that's something that we heal so that you are not affected by it. And that's something that can be worked on. So that's the answer, you who texted in, only the physical. Somebody's harming you physically, that's at a different level. That is a safety issue, because somebody can harm you to a point of no repair when somebody harms you physically. Nobody should be hurting somebody else physically. Somebody else texted, saying, do I have to make this decision now seems very general. Also seems that this itself can be a decision. Yeah, it is very general. True, it will definitely. It is a general way to calm an indecision, to take it out of emotional to logical, absolutely. If you feel that you need to make this decision right now, and then that is emotional. Now, this other person who's getting beaten up, if you're getting beaten up, that's an emergency. That's already an emergency case. But other than an emergency, you should not be using emotions to make decisions. So if it is general, absolutely. And that is one of the tools to take you out of, it's not giving you the final answer, but it's helping you to not be in indecision and to make the right decisions. Yes, 6-1, go ahead. Hello.
Yes, hi. Can you please explain, you talk about there's always an option C. I don't understand. When I think about that, sometimes I don't. How can we figure out what option C is when we're trying to make a decision?
When a person is in option A or option B only, if it's not an emergency, now this individual who was texting that they're being beaten up, that's an emergency. But other than that, if a person is only option A or option B, should I do this or should I do that? Should I take this job or should I not take this job? When a person is doing that, what they are doing is they are lacking the understanding that they may misperceive the outcome. Option C is a spiritual concept that when a person trusts the universe, give them the answers. And right now, as a human being, we don't know the future. So we don't know if what the decision that we're going to make, if it's going to be helpful or not. But we can only see this way or that way. That's because we are in fear. When we realize something right now, and that's why when I say, do I need to make this decision right now? When I say that, I'm moving myself out of an emotion, out of a fear. And now I can sit back and say, you know what? Maybe the best thing right now is not to do anything. And let's see what option C is. Let's see what the other possibility is. Maybe I don't have to do this and this. I can just do this. For instance, a person is saying, oh, should I take this job at 5 days a week? I don't know if I can do 5 days a week. Okay, I'm not going to do anything. That's either A or B. Isn't there an option C? Maybe I'll only work 3 days a week. Oh, that's a possibility. Again, something that is more flexible is the concept of option C. Something that is less flexible puts you in a bind.
Yes, so if I could give an example, my daughter, I think it was Moti Shabbos, she wanted to go out. I don't remember. I think it snowed. So we told her that it wasn't safe to drive. So that was option A, go out and drive in a situation that wasn't safe. And option B was stay home, and she said she wasn't going to enjoy herself. She wouldn't be happy staying home. That's not what she wanted to do. So I tried to use this concept of option C, But so I said maybe there's something that you could do tonight that you usually don't have time for because you do other things. Was I using it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe we could find a safe way for you to travel. Yes, that's a perfect example of option C. It's not staying home, it's not going out, but it's doing something else. Absolutely. So you see that you were not stuck in either going out or staying home. You were coming out with a third option.
Right.
Yeah, that absolutely is.
And if the person, it's not such a good example because it's somebody else, but let's say that was me, but the person's not happy, so they're not happy with A, B, or C. So what does that mean? Like
C doesn't mean just C. C can be C, D, E, F, G, just another, okay, so you don't like that, let's think of something else.
Okay, just trying to be thinking outside.
In other words, it's not limiting
creative.
yourself with the either or. That's the concept of options.
And that helps us. Yeah, it allows us. What does it do for us?
It allows us to think of an alternative. When a person is either A or B, they're limiting themselves to certain results. I'm either going to stay home or I'm going to go out, correct? Those are the only two options, yes?
Yes.
When a person says, oh, maybe there's something else, oh, now I'm not limiting myself to either this or this. In other words, I'm either going to be happy or I'm going to be upset. If I go out, I'm going to be happy. If I stay home, I'm going to be upset. Oh, let's think of a third option as something else that we can do. Now you're broadening your options. You're not limiting to this. When we limit ourselves to either A or B, what we are declaring is that this is the only way that I'm going to be happy. When I'm saying, you know what? I don't know. Maybe something else will make me happy. Let's see what other options. Oh, why don't you try that? Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that. I'm not limiting myself.
And sometimes, I think you were saying earlier, sometimes we just have to wait and see what the universe or Hashem, if we want to say that, like maybe he'll show us what option C is. We're just not,
absolutely.
We don't know what it is yet. So we have to just be patient and wait and see what option C
that is.
Be.
Option C is sometimes it's waiting.
Okay. So we have to be patient, find out. Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Well, just to let you know, I'm putting in the chat all the numbers that I gave you, the hotline numbers, our YouTube channel, and our Spotify, so you can listen to the last recording. Somebody else. And if I have to make this decision but can't seem to dissociate from the emotions around it without it being an emergency. Okay. That's something that we can work on those emotions. That is something that we can heal. Because if you're dealing with the emotions around it, then there's a reason, there's some fear there that are based on some beliefs. That's something that we teach in our program. And that's something that takes work. That can be done, that can be healed. Absolutely. Just that you are aware that it is an emotion. And just by you saying that you can't seem to dissociate, there is a reason behind that. And that takes some healing. We work through that in our programs. That's what we do. And we can uncover what belief you have that is blocking you from not being able to separate emotions from decision. And at the same time, it's not getting taken care of. Yes, I understand that. However, sometimes you need to do some preliminary work before you can actually make the decision. And making the wrong decision out of emotion is not beneficial. Sometimes it's better not to do anything, because if you're going to do it from emotion, it's not going to work out well and you're not going to be in a good place. My husband wants me to just pause life. I'm not calling about pausing life, but yeah, sometimes you do have to pause decisions. Correct. Like I said, it's not always an emergency. It depends on what level it is. Yeah, sometimes you do have to pause. And sometimes not making a decision right now is a lot better than making it from emotions, and then you could ruin a major part of your life. You believe that you've got to make this now. Unless it's an emergency, it's rare that you have. And we're just going to hold off on this. Real entrepreneurs, businessmen who understand this concept really well do not force decisions, and that's why they're successful. Very successful people rarely make decisions from emotions. Yes, they do pause life. My husband wants me to cut down on our cleaning help because I'm out of a job and money is very tight. I need to decide now if I should cancel here, what can I do? Cutting down on your cleaning help is something that you don't have to make a decision right now. You feel that you do. Right now, you're out of a job. Maybe we can try to find work so you'll have more money. Maybe there's other ways to budget the money. And if cleaning help is really important for your sanity, maybe that's not the thing that needs to be cut back. Do you see that there's multiple options? So that's something that you can talk to your husband about. That let's see, is there any other places that we can budget and cut back on our expenses until you have a job? Once again, here you think, oh, I gotta cancel her right now. Not necessarily. As you come to the holidays, finding cleaning help can be challenging. So maybe that's not the right decision right now, is to cut her. And maybe there's other ways to come to a decision. So once again, if it's the A or B, you're doing it from emotion, that's difficult. So let's look at our budget. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what our options are. And now you're also answering, being pressured to take on a summer job to bring in money. I really don't want to do it, but perhaps it's the right thing. I need to give them an answer tonight. So you can, again, I still thinking about it. I'll let you know in a couple of days. I need an answer tonight. Okay, I hear you, but I need a couple of days to think it over. Isn't it interesting that for them, when they want it, they need it right now? Does that mean that they have somebody else that's definitely going to? You asked them for an extension last week. Okay, so you need a couple more days. They obviously want you and like you. If that's the case, they'll be willing to wait a couple of days. Like I said, it's rare that things need to be done right now. Just because it's important for them doesn't mean it's important for you. Thank you, really helpful. You're welcome, sir. Yes, that's the individual who said just about pausing life. Yeah, that's what entrepreneurs do. They don't make decisions out of stress. Thank you, you're welcome. As you can see, just by the fact that we've stepped back for a moment and took the emotion out of the decision making, the pressure is alleviated from us, making it so much easier to make decisions. They need it right now? Okay. I'm not sure right now. I need a couple of days. Okay. They're not going to give you forever. I understand that. But you can have a couple of days. There's always other options. When we take the emotion out of decision making, we don't have these fears. It makes it so much easier. Next week, as I stated, we're going to be talking about the system to build. That once you have this system, you will be able to make decisions so much easier. So just to reiterate, if anybody wants to join our WhatsApp group, we are having a raffle. Text in the word bonus to 845-400-9466 and we'll sign you up to our WhatsApp group. You will get the newsletter there. You will get notifications about the upcoming Mindful Mondays. What will make me smarter if I wait? What will make you, it's not that it'll make you smarter, it'll remove the emotions so that you will be able to have more clarity in your decision making. It's not about intelligence. Just by the fact that you are asking that question shows that you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, as many do. I'm not saying just you, that the way to look at decisions, if we have those emotions and those fears, we want the right answer, we don't want to make a mistake, we don't want to do thing. I tend to push off decisions. Exactly. That's what we were talking about. There's a reason that you are pushing off because of a fear of failure, a fear of making a mistake, a fear of success. And like I said, next week, we're going to give a very specific system. But here already you are learning that if the emotions are attached, that's what's making it harder to make decisions, that your coping mechanism is, oh, just push it off. Other people, we're not telling you just to push it off endlessly. It's about removing the emotion from the decisions. And that's really the bottom line here, what we're trying to do. Once we remove the emotions of the decision making, not trying to be perfect, trying to be imperfect, we will find that decision making become so much easier, and you'll be able to live a much more happy, purposeful, productive life. Hope that was helpful. Okay, anybody else before we go? Thank you. You're welcome. 90, yes, go ahead.
How do you know when you're doing it from a place of emotion instead of logic?
Great question. Great question. You want to make a decision. Is it something specific that you want, or is this a general question?
In general, because I have a hard time making really simple decisions.
You have a hard time making simple decisions. What do you call a simple decision?
Like which coat to wear.
Okay.
So for you, it's a bar mitzvah and you're not dressed so fancy, so are you wearing a simple weekday coat or a looks weekday, or you wear a Shabbos coat that's very fancy?
And the fear is what?
If neither of them are correct. What you said before with the test, maybe there could have been a third type of a coat. It just, between these two, neither look like perfect. One is too weekday, one is too Shabbos-y.
So you're trying to be perfect. You see that?
I guess so.
So when you're trying to be perfect, and there's only one right
answer.
I
am.
I get that. So when you're trying to be perfect, you're going to have a difficult time making a decision. So I'm going to give you, do you want to have a little bit of fun with it?
Yes.
Okay. So close your eyes. Next time you're going to a simcha, right? You put the two coats next to each other, right? In your closet. You walk in, you close your eyes, you grab one, and that's the one you wear. Why not?
It might be, I'm not sure.
It might be one or two, right?
All right.
Try it. And then go there, and I guarantee you, nothing is going to happen. Either somebody's going to say, wow, you look great. What a beautiful coat. Or nobody's going to say anything at all. And that's it. Because the truth is, nobody cares.
So sometimes I feel like if I end up really making the decision, then if someone says, wow, you're really overdressed, or like, why did you think of coming in such fancy clothes? Then I could think, well, this is what I chose. And if I don't choose, or like I let someone else choose, and someone says that, I'm like, yikes.
People say stuff. Anybody who says a criticism, you can say, thank you for your opinion, and just keep walking on. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you for your opinion. Even if it's a bad opinion. Who cares?
Then I could just
keep walking.
Let it be.
Yeah. That will blow their minds. If you do that to somebody, they won't know what to do with that, because they're looking for a reaction, and you're not giving it to them.
Because they're looking for a specific type of reaction.
They're looking for that reaction.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm scared to do that. I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense. I'm so scared to do it. So.
I understand that. I get the fear. I get it. I understand.
I didn't even realize that I had this idea. I recently realized it because I used to only have one coat, and I lost weight, and I wanted to get a new one, and I couldn't find one similar enough to my old one. And everybody was telling me, just get two coats. Like, why does it need to be one that's nice enough for Shabbos and still simple enough for weekday? And then I realized, you know why? Because I never know which coat to take. So I only buy one. So now I have two.
Beautiful. So you have a good problem.
And I have a good problem.
There you go. Beautiful.
A great problem. A problem created by growth.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's great.
Yeah.
How nice.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I want to know how to make a decision about which therapist to see. The first one I'm happy with, and the second one is someone I would like to try. However, the second one says that I could only do one. So you're happy with one, and you want to try another one. I don't understand that. I don't understand if you're happy with one, a different modality. Okay. Is the first one working? Yes. Okay. So you believe that the second one is going to work better because it's different? You want to change? When something is working, why do you want to change it? I'm not understanding that. She might go deep. Amazing. There is, I hear, and you're asking me that. Do you see how convoluted this whole thought process is? Do you see that or not? You're happy with one. You want to go deeper with another one, maybe. And then you're asking me, who's a coach, which way to go. So what I'm hearing is that there's a fear of, I don't know about this fear of contentment, but that you're not content with life. There's something, I don't know what this therapist is doing, and I don't even know why you're going to this therapist. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what this second one is doing. And you're already grateful for one, and it's working. Why change it? Oh, because I want to go deeper. Okay, so Go deeper. Okay, so let me ask the coach which one to go to. There's a lot of convoluted thinking where sounds to me like you don't really know what you want and you haven't uncovered a purpose in what you're getting to. And I hope you don't take this as criticism. I don't know who you are, and I'm just answering your question. I believe that we will cover this more next week and go deeper into this, and you'll get a better understanding. But there is some deep-seated, I would say, it sounds like you've been through trauma of some sort that is hindering your healing process. Because a lot of times we're doing well with something, so we want to change it. So we get into confusion in order to ruin our peace and our growth, instead of allowing the healing to happen. And that's what it sounds like by your question. I don't usually give advice. I really don't. It's not what I do. Should I do this or that? I guide people to make their own decisions. But what I'm hearing is, I found that IFS was amazing and the second one does it, not the first. Okay, you can study IFS. You can read a book on it and study it. You can join groups that do IFS. It doesn't have to be a contradiction to what you're doing. So if that's where you want to go, then go ahead. Then go in IFS. Dr. Schwartz, who's the creator of IFS, our program does a lot that's very similar to IFS in that. And you find what you're happy with, stay with it. You want to go deeper and you want to go to something that's even deeper than that? Okay. If you feel that you're ready, maybe you've completed work with this therapist and now you're ready for the next level, then go ahead. I agree, getting two therapists at the same time is rarely a good idea. It can be confusing. If you want to go deeper, then go deeper. Okay. But again, it's up to you to decide what you want. And maybe, like I said, maybe next week when we get into this, we'll answer a lot of these questions that are coming up, why people are having difficulty making decisions. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Hope I didn't add more confusion. All right, that concludes that. That was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you all learned something, giving a little bit more understanding. It was really tonight opening your mind a little bit to the concepts of what is blocking you from making decisions. Not just you, us humans in general. There are these underlying issues that make decision-making challenging. And once we, just as the beginning part, and then once we complete it with this system, a practical system, and understanding that and putting it all together, I believe that you will find decision-making to be easier. I'm not saying that it's going to be boom each time, but there is a process to get to. And once again, hope you enjoyed the newsletter. If you need anything from the office, reach out to us to join our WhatsApp group, 845-400-9466. If your question was not answered, you can also text there and we can put it into the newsletter or maybe answer you next week. Okay, thank you everybody. Have a good night. Once again, I hope you all enjoyed it. Take care.